If you are a beginner to hiking Colorado 14ers and the gear selection, route selection, all of that other stuff has your head spinning, this video is for you. And the first thing I'm gonna tell you is to refrain from using a giant 30 liter, 40 liter backpacking bag and get a trail running specific bag. Now these are gonna be smaller, lighter weight, and they're gonna have pockets for you to have water in the front for easy, efficient access. Now the two that I recommend is the one here, which is the Solomon 12 liter, and the Black Diamond 15 liter. Now I'm gonna be using mostly the 12 liter in summer conditions, and I'm gonna be using the 15 in mostly early summer or spring conditions. And the reason is, number one, more room for layers, and number two, it's got pockets and it's got storage for ice axes, just in case you need those. The next thing that you're gonna wanna bring are gloves. Now, yes, when you look at the temperatures, you're probably gonna be looking at the temperatures when you start the hike at 8,000 or 9,000 feet. However, every single time that you go up 1,000 feet in elevation, you're gonna be getting at least 3 degrees colder. With most of these hikes, you are gonna be starting super early. When you eventually summit, it's still going to be quite early in the morning, it's going to be cold, and typically it's going to be windy. Gloves are one of those things that are just super critical to have, especially if you're going to be gripping trekking poles or if you're gonna be doing any sort of scrambling and things like that. Now, the next thing is going to be a sun shirt. The reason I like sun shirts is because they are multi-purpose. So they have a hood here that is going to keep you warm if you're cold, and they also typically will have little thumb slits here for your hands in case you forget your gloves. Now, this is great to keep yourself warm if you're up at the summit and it's cold, but it's also really great for sun protection as well, because all the time when you're doing these 14ers, you're gonna be spending a lot of time above tree line, and that's gonna be some of your slowest miles. So you really wanna protect yourself from the sun, and if you forgot your sunscreen, or if you're not good at putting sunscreen on like me, a sun shirt is really going to help in that area. I like to opt for a bright color because you're gonna look better in photos. Who doesn't wanna do that? And then, but number two, then the more important reason is, if you do get lost or someone needs to try to find you, you're going to be sticking out on the mountain like a sore thumb if you have a bright color. Now, the next thing that I want to throw in there is filming equipment. If you are wanting to film your hikes just to show your friends, family, or something like that, or put it on YouTube like this, I would 100% recommend the Insta360 with the invisible selfie stick, and here's why. Everybody wants to use a GoPro, but let me tell you a secret. GoPros suck. I had a GoPro 9. I had so many issues with it. I finally just ended up selling it. I've had 0 issues with this Insta360 and have had it for a year now. It's just so much more versatile. Number one, because you may be wearing a helmet on a 14er, so you could screw it to your head here. And when you want the POV shot, you actually don't have to worry too much about how you're angling the camera, because in post, you can actually go and reframe it the way you want it to look. The other cool thing is that if you are hiking alone, you can use the selfie stick paired with your Insta360. You can extend it, and you're gonna be getting almost drone-like shots of yourself. You can put it on the side, you can put it up in the air. There's just so many things that you can do with this, and I like to use this little lens cover here because I've found that the lens cover on the actual lens will start to fog up and just doesn't look good. So lens cover, I'll link it below. The next thing that I would recommend is to get cushier shoes. Now, number one, don't wear boots. I mean, you can wear boots. I'm against boots. I don't like boots. They're heavy. Every pound on your foot is 5 pounds on your back. What I do recommend are trail runners, and what I have been rocking up until now are Ultra Lone Peaks or Ultra Timps. The Timps are fine in terms of cushion, but they don't have a lot of grip. The Lone Peaks have good grip, but they don't have a lot of cushion. Since Ultra got bought out, they really have had durability issues, and is the reason I'm gonna be switching to either Topo or On Cloud. What I'm trying to get at here is that you want cushier shoes because a lot of these 14ers are gonna be super, super incredibly rocky, and it's really going to compromise your foot and how your foot feels by the end of the day. The last piece in the gear section is going to be trekking poles. I am always super, super surprised that more people in Colorado are not using trekking poles. I literally can't believe it. And you know who the people are that complain about their knees at the end of a 14er hike? People without trekking poles. So here's why trekking poles are awesome. Number one, they are 4-wheel drive for going uphill. You are using now 4 points of contact, your legs and your poles, to get yourself and propel yourself uphill. Number two, it's going to protect your knees on the downhill. The ones that I really recommend are these Black Diamond Distance Z poles. I've had these for a couple years now, 0 issues with them. They're carbon, never break. They will fold down into your pack, and on both the packs that I talked about before, you have options to store them. This is the Black Diamond bag. They actually have little pockets right here on the side where you can just throw these in. Boom. And it stays right there. And then with the Solomon 12, you can actually put it right in the back. These are the samurai swords of the wilderness. Pick yourself up a pair. It's going to change your life. Now let's move into strategies for 14ers. The first question you want to ask yourself is, what do I want to climb for my first 14er? Now there's a lot of recommendations for this, but what I hear the most are Mount Bierstadt and Grays and Torreys. These are really, really good. They're kind of in the front range there, super accessible from Denver. These are going to be really great first mountains for you to climb and very straightforward. And it's going to give you an opportunity to figure out how you actually feel at altitude, because let me tell you, if it's your first time at altitude, it's going to be like a right hook in your face at some point on the hike, most likely. The next thing you need to know is that the parking lot on these 14ers fill up incredibly fast. So getting there at 3, 4 a.m. is actually kind of late in some instances for some of these 14ers, believe it or not. Usually how I combat this is I'm either going to be staying overnight in the trailhead, or I'm going to be camping just outside of it on some forest roads if possible. This to me is the best way, rather than trying to get up at midnight and then driving to the trailhead. What I recommend for this is do some kind of sleeping platform in the back of your car. That's going to be the most comfortable. If not, just pitch a tent. The next thing is that you need to start early on these 14ers. Not only because of the parking lot, but because of the fact that typically when you're hiking Colorado 14ers, it's in the summer, and that's during monsoon season. And monsoon season means thunderstorms around noon, 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, anywhere in that area. But not only that, you'll also beat the heat later in the day, and you'll also typically beat some of the crowds that are just day hiking little sections of it. Now with this, you always got to be keeping an eye on the sky, and you got to be looking and monitoring the clouds that are moving in from adjacent ridges. In Colorado, storms will come up way quicker than you think will happen. Always be conscious and keep your ears out for thunder and your eyes out for those big cumulonimbus clouds. Number 4 is to be bold and start cold. Yes, it's going to be cold in the morning, but as soon as you start hiking 10 to 15 minutes in and you start going uphill, you are going to undoubtedly strip your layers. This happens all the time. I see it all the time. Sometimes I'll do it as well because I'm just kind of being a pansy in the morning. But again, it's kind of the antithesis of being efficient, because you have to take off your bag, you have to take off your layer, you have to stuff your layer in, you have to put your bag back on. If you're trying to do these quickly, you're trying to beat storms, just be bold, start cold, start with minimal layers, and plus you'll probably hike faster to get warmed up anyway. The next tip is to pace yourself. I'll commonly see a lot of people get up to near the top of a 14er and they're absolutely exhausted. My strategy for this is to really take 0 breaks, unless it's a bathroom break, on the way up to the 14er. The way I do this is to make sure that I am not moving fast enough where I need to have a breathing break. I'm constantly just thinking that I need to breathe through my nose and be super, super chill. You'll be surprised at how many people that you'll be able to pass by just using this strategy of not going any faster than just breathing through your nose. Most people in front of you are going to be taking frequent breaks, and if you can just maintain that pace of breathing through your nose all the way to the top, you're going to be absolutely surprised at how fast you can actually get up there. The next tip is to subscribe to my channel and like this video if you feel like it deserves it. I have my own playlist where I'm creating videos dedicated to just walking you through the crux routes of the hardest 14ers. So that's something that you can check out as you start progressing on your 14er journey. The next tip is to go to 14ers.com and to check conditions reports. You can do this also on all trails as well, but 14ers.com I've found is a little bit more reliable and has a lot more reviews. This really helps out too when you're in early summer and you're wondering what the snow conditions are like. Next is that the last 1,000 feet are going to be the slowest part of the entire hike. It's going to be an absolute slog, but always remember that every good summit always has some type of struggle at the end of it, whether it's a false summit or a little dip where you go back up again. Every summit always has that, and it's really just to test you for how bad you actually want it. But also be aware that if you do see a storm rolling in, you may want to turn back because of the significant amount of time it's going to take you to get from 13 to 14,000 feet. Quick thing I forgot as I'm editing this, but I would totally recommend getting something to track your 14er progress on. As you can see here, what I have is a scratch off map that I found on Amazon. Absolutely love this thing. As you can see, you just scratch off the ones that you've done, and then it makes it super easy to see which ones you still have left and also the areas you still have left so that you can prioritize and hit all of them at once when you're down in that area. As promised, the last tip that is going to get you up the mountain extremely fast. When you pack your food, make sure that you're packing sugars or candies for the uphill. Now, why do you do that? You want to have the fastest access to glucose in your bloodstream as possible. You're going to be exerting a lot more effort as you go uphill, and those sugars are going to be fast acting and are really going to propel you to the summit quickly. You're not gonna get what runners commonly refer to as a bonk, where you're losing glucose. You try to eat copious amounts of food, maybe it's a lot of fat, and it's just not getting into your bloodstream that fast, and that's gonna be a problem. So that's why I like to use sugars, any kind of gummies, Swedish fish on the way up. Now on the downhill, I'll actually prioritize fats because I'm not exercising as hard as on the uphill. Typically, I'll do still a combination of sugars, carbs, and fats, but a little bit more fats for the downhill than I did on the up. Here's a video of a 14er I think you're gonna like next. We'll see you for the next video.